Hi everyone, it's Michael again. In this video, you will learn how if statement works in Java step by step. We will cover what is an if statement, how condition works, if, if, and else statement. We'll also cover a real world example and a common beginner's mistake. So I'm going to talk about if statement and what basically it entails or it looks like. If statement basically allows your program to make decisions, just like human beings uh, make their own decision every day. Program also make and decide what to do based on the condition that they have. So in this video, we will understand how condition works in Java using simple and real world example. To start with, I want to try and highlight what we mean by if statement. An if statement basically checks a condition, and if the condition is true, Java will run the code inside that block. So when you say block, if you remember in our previous video, I spoke about the curly brackets. So I'm going to show you an example of what an if statement looks like. So in our code, say if. Can you see the word if? So we'll put our condition. Our condition is meant to be here, and of course, I'll say the block of code, the block is going to be here. So this is where we write our code, and this is where we're going to write it, and whatever it is that we want to execute will be put inside this curly bracket. And a simple example that we're going to make use of here, I'll try and make use of an example. The age is equals to 10, and our condition that we want to try and do, I have here what we want our program to do. It's going to check if the age is greater equals to 18, and if this is true, then you should go ahead and print out this condition for us. It should just say you are adults, right? And of course, this statement is gonna be true because, 20. So it's gonna be true because 20 is greater than 18. So right now we can see you are an adult. So that actually basically verifies that this condition that we have here is true, and is simply we're able to run that code as a result of that. So just a brief explanation, or again just to iterate here, the Java basically checks if the age is greater or equals to the 18, and since 20 is greater than 18, the message is going to definitely print out. So the next part I'm going to talk about is the if else statement. So the question is, what if this condition that we say, for instance, if you remember the other time, I mistakenly had it 10. So what about if this condition is false? Let's say, for instance. So what happens? So for instance, if you try to run this and it's false, right? What will happen by the time you run this? It's not going to give us any value. Why? Because the age is 10 is not greater than 18. So it expects to, what will happen? What if this condition is not true? And that's why we have the else. So if we say else, what should it do? We're just going to say you are a child. So if we try to run our code again, what happened? It's going to show us that you are a child because 10 is basically less than and is sorry, it's not greater than, that means it's less than 18 and it's not equals to 18. We'll also try and look at the condition of the other condition that is called else if statement. Now, I know that sounds a little bit sounding a little bit difficult, but it's not. Just let me do a brief explanation. So we already spoke about the if and else statement. There's a condition called else if statement. Sometimes we need kind of multiple condition, and that's why we have the else else if statement. That's the point where it is so useful. So I'm just gonna write. I'm gonna try and just change what I have here so that we can just go into something different. I'm gonna say if the mark is 75, right, and I say mark is greater than or equals to 90, we'll say print grade A, right, and we have our else if statement, which is just going to be max is greater than or equals to 70, right? What happens? So I would like to clear this off just to make sure my code is a little bit easy to read. We're going to say grade B, right? And also we can just add our else statement, which is just going to be finally, system output, we just say you fail. So if we try and look at this, what basically it does is it checks the condition. The Java basically checks the condition from the top to the bottom, and once a condition becomes true, the remaining condition are basically skipped. That's just it. Once you check the first condition and it's true, that means the first condition, which is if the mark is greater than or equals to 90, if it is true, it's going to skip the other part that says else if and else statement. And if it is the else if that is true, it skips the else statement like that. So, and basically we actually can use this in real world situation, like for instance login form also, which we actually did initially. We can use our if statement. If you recall, we did something like this in our previous video where we spoke about a login form that we have the admin, we have the string password to be equals to 1, 2, 3, and we can use our if else statement here just in case. So for instance, when we have a situation where this user's name or password, if it is not correct, what do we have to show? How do we know that it's not correct? How do we tell the users that, hey, this is what is going on? So rather than just having a blank screen, so we'll just say username, let's say equals admin, and the password that equals 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are saying that the system should print out for us welcome, or we say login successful. And if S, the condition is not true, we just say the system should output invalid credential. Okay. Right. So if you print this, if you try to run this, it's definitely going to tell us that the login is true, is successful. So let's say, for instance, I put S here and I try to run this again. What happened is going to tell us that invalid credential. So one of the real life scenarios that we can implement this, and also I would like to talk about netted if statement. What can we call a netted statement? You can also place an if statement inside another if statement. Yes, that's what a netted if statement is. So it's basically placing an if statement inside another if statement. I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about. So let's say, for instance, I'm going to take this out and we'll decide to put another if statement and see. So, but the if statement, both conditions must be true. In this scenario, we will have to say this. So we say, I'm going to use a Boolean value just to hide this. Boolean value to has logged in to be equals to true. So I'll just say if as logged in. Yeah, I will just say I'll copy this so I don't have to type all over again. And I'll say welcome Marco. Okay, here we go. So if we try to run this method, we're definitely going to there's something not right there. Okay, yeah, I did not remove this part, and yeah, it's gonna tell us welcome, Michael. That's what a netted if statement is. Both conditions must definitely be true. So talking about the common beginner mistake, I spoke about it before. If we making use of a single equals to instead of a double one. Also, I would like to talk about the part of missing the curly brackets. Missing the curly bracket is quite very important. If you have, always look out for. I mean, it's not even only beginners. I think even programmers sometimes, out of maybe they get overwhelmed typing and doing all the whole stuffs, they forget to have it, their curly bracket closed at the end of their code, or at the end of whatever it is they want to put into their block of code. So don't ever forget to close your bracket. Also the semicolon, where it's needed, when you needed to end your code or line of your code, you have to try as much as possible to put it at the end of your code. So anyways, I would like to say, just like I did in the previous video, pause this video, try some few exercise so that I can be able to test your ability. I'm going to just give you an exercise for you to work on. I'm going to say, this is going to be about temperature. Let's say temperature is equals to 30. You can try to use the if statement and if and S statement to check if the temperature is greater than or less than or equals to. Hence, you should check it if the temperature is greater than 20, or just try and practicalize, try and predict the output before you run the program. That's the most important thing, so I can check your ability to that you're actually you're following this video, and you're actually on track when it comes to your ability to write the code without having to look at the example we've done so far. So I will actually have to say this, how Java basically evaluates condition. Java evaluates condition as either it is true or it is false, and it is called the Boolean logic. So of course we already tried the Boolean. We spoke about the Boolean logic at the point where we check if, for instance, if 10 is greater than 5, of course it's going to give us true. If we actually says 10 is less than 5, of course it's going to give us false, because 10 is not less than 5. So now you understand how if statement works in Java. This is one of the most important concepts in programming, because it actually allows your application to make decisions. In the next video, we will learn about loop and how to repeat tasks automatically. So subscribe to this video, continue practicing, don't stop, keep moving. And also, if you have any question, drop a comment, like the video, share it to someone that you think needs this video, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, and thanks for your time. Bye.